All right. Well, thank you for joining us. My name is Todd Capua, and I am thrilled to be joined today by Kaz. We're going to do some really quick intros. You guys know me. I've just been, putting together a couple little videos here and there all over a bunch of social media. I have this little brand called Red Arrow Addiction. It certainly is an addiction for me and many of the people that I know. I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit and what that means. But I wanted to hand it over to Kaz. He can do a little introduction, kind of understand what some of his background is, and then we'll go ahead and get started, talk through some of the agendas and topics for today. And then we've got a really cool brief story that we'll kick off before we jump in.
Yeah, definitely. So, my name's AJ Kazmerzak. Obviously, Kaz is what my super close friends call me. That started back during baseball season, now transferred into the outdoor industry. But, I was a suburban kid from age 1 to about 15. I always had some family that lived down in the country. We would always go hang out with them in the fall, winter time, specifically, bonfires and things like that. Then 8th grade year going into freshman year, I went to a school district that actually had a levy and lost sports. At the time, I was playing 3 sports, and I was like, "No, this ain't it. I'm not going to school without sports." So ended up going down to where all of my family graduated, my mom's alma mater, which was Westfall High School. And from that point on, it was almost like I immersed myself into that side of the family. And so, I would always watch my cousins. You met one of them actually at Total Archery Challenge, Austin. My cousin Bryce is the main reason I got into bow hunting in the outdoors, but Austin played a very prominent role as well. And so I was like, I just wanted to be around him, right? I was the older brother in my family, and so I didn't have an older brother. So naturally, I like whatever the older kids were doing, that's what I wanted to do. And 90% of the time, it was them shooting bows in the backyard. So I would just go and take it all in. Turn around, here's, I'm 16, and my cousin's like, well, get your hunting license and we'll go out there. And I always respected him because of the fact that he said, we'll go out there when I think you're ready. My cousin is very much you need to be as ethical and as lethal as possible, and we're not going to accept anything less. And so it was a lot of practice and things like that before he would take me out. But very fortunate, he ended up taking me out. I was able to actually take a small 6-point, first time out. And since then, I've just been hooked ever since. I was fortunate enough to play college baseball. So then as I grew up, summertime, spring, summer was baseball, fall, winter was hunting. And that was the rotation back and forth. I'm 27 years old now, so I guess that would be, 10, 11 years, or no, what is that? Yeah, 10, 11 years of hunting under my belt. And just now really starting to explore how amazing our entire country is, not just our state. I live in Ohio, not just our state in all of the hunting and outdoors opportunities. But yeah, that's basically like the quick rundown of how I got to this point, basically.
That's pretty cool. So I guess one of the kind of topics that we kind of threw together. So one was like, how did we meet? Another one, what is TAC? I hadn't worn my shirt yet, but I threw it on.
It looks like it fits good, man. I'm always curious to see what designs they come up with year after year. I gotta say, I really like this design. I also really liked last year's. Do you remember with the broadhead? Yep. It was like an old Indian.
It was cool.
Outline broadhead. It was cool. It was a good time.
So another one we were going to kick around is like, what is your passion? And then the last one is, as we think about like, how can we work together? Really continuing to support and grow the sport of archery and hunting. So we're going to cover off on those 4 topics pretty quick. But I guess before we jump into the how we met, there's probably the brief story that needs to be told. And we're dancing around TAC and everything else. I know you got a shorter and a longer version, and we'll keep it to the shorter one. But this story is phenomenal. I've heard it told. It's one of those campfire stories, I think, that you hear.
Yeah, blessed is an understatement. to say the least.
So, and it's funny, like my daughter, as you know, went with me this past weekend up the Total Archery Challenge. And
Yeah, she almost yelled at my buddy for breaking into my truck.
That's right. And then, she was like, well, what do you mean that's his truck? It says Bear on it. And I was like, well, you got to hear the story. So anyway, why don't you tell us the story, Kaz?
Yeah, no, it's a story to say the least. So about 3 years ago, was mine and my buddy Swopes. We're baseball guys, so everything is just last names only. That's how we do things. So my buddy Swope and I, we got a couple of people together, my brother, my cousin that got me into archery, and then another buddy, and we went to our first Total Archery Challenge up in Boyne Mountain, Michigan. That point on, we were absolutely hooked. The other guys liked it. They really enjoyed it. But they Swope and I will kind of plan our vacations around Total Archery Challenge because we're ate up with it. Yep. Turn around last year, no one was able to make it. It was conflicting schedules and there was come ups and issues and things like that. Neither here nor there, but Swope and I, we were on a phone. I still remember the phone call and we were talking back and forth. And I was like, dude, I'm down if you're down. And it'll just be the dynamic duo. And we'll go out there and we'll give it heck. And he said, I was actually thinking the exact same thing. So last year we ended up renting out a condo up at the top of the mountain. It was just him and I. Wow. And we went out. We both had new bows for the season. And what did we shoot? We shot Knock On and Prime. So 2 of the longer courses. But, day one, we went out and we shot Knock On, and it was a pretty good time. And we kind of come down the mountain, and he's talking about how I was shooting lights out. And me, Dad always says, let the performance do the talking. Let other people talk for you. So I was just, oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. You shot pretty good too. Things like that. We get down, and for those people that don't know, Total Archery Challenge has what's called novelty shots. And for $5, you can shoot at this, $10 at this, and $15 a shot is a 111-yard caribou. And you have to hit it perfectly in the center, what we call inside out. So it can't be touching any of the lines. And that's $15 a shot for an entry in to win the truck. So every year they get a title sponsor. My year happened to be Bear Archery, and they rig out a brand new truck to the gills, full overland rig, full camping setup, the whole 9 yards. I mean, this thing's awesome. I mean, you saw it this weekend. And so I'm shooting I'm an opportunity cost guy. So I'm like, if I shoot at this, what am I giving up? Well, they were doing a $5 a shot African safari hunt at 47 yards. $5 at 47, 15 at 111. Naturally, I'm going to the safari hunt. Yep. I'm just kind of dumping money in to try to get entries into that. Well, then my buddy comes over, tries to get me to shoot. I'm like, no. Comes over again, no. Comes over the third time and is like, hey, so you're going to have to shoot for the truck. I was like, what are you talking about? He pays for my ticket. Looking back, people were like, oh, it's $15. He pays for his buddy, whatever. But no, he paid for my ticket. And so I'm like, well, okay. So I get over there and I line up to take the shot. Someone who had just shot walks past and very pass by, nonchalant, hey, wind's blowing, aim 6 inches to the right. And that was it. He's gone. I, to this day, never seen that guy again in my life.
Wow.
And so I line up and I see, I check the spotting scope ahead of time to kind of see where I need to position up and down. And then I get on my mark and I kind of shift it 6 inches to the right, let her fly, and everyone goes, dude, it's close. Rob, God love this guy. His Instagram is at TAC, TAC _Rob. He essentially sets up the Pennsylvania course. That's his baby. That's where he's from. Amazing individual. Yep. But he's looking at me. He's like, do you want to see it? And me, I'm a universe listens, manifesting, visualization, power of positivity, all of that stuff. And I'm like, nope, we're gonna let it be what it is, and that's what we're gonna do. Swope looks at the binos or the spotting scope, and he's like, dude, you need to come look at this. I'm like, nope, we're not gonna do that. And sure enough, we end up walking up, longest 111 yards of my life. Rob looks at me, he looks at Swope, and he goes, dude, that's in. And from then on, we just kind of rode the high, basically, of, if this happens, we took pictures around it. We're talking to people, had a guy, you can actually see the Sika behind me. We had a guy named Jason Bradford who saw us in at the bar later and said, hey, if you win this truck, come out and hunt Sika deer with me. And as you can see from behind me, ended up winning the truck. It was very, very surreal. Cannot thank Bear Archery enough, because when we got out there, I thought I was getting a truck, but in turn, I got a truck. They gave me a fully set up bow, which is actually behind me. That's the Bear Redemption. And then also gave my buddy Swope, I believe, a fully loaded Bear Whitetail Legend Pro. Nice. Just because of the fact that he was such a good friend. And I told those guys, I was like, when they called me, I said, can I bring Swope? Like, this truck is just as much his as it is mine. You know what I mean? And so I'm a big, pay homage where homage is due. Yep. And so, yeah, so then that's kind of the story of the Bear Archery truck and how it came into my possession. And now that tax season is over, I'm finally able to breathe because it is fully paid off.
That's fabulous. That was fun. I think I heard your story with Dylan on the Hunting 101 podcast. And
great guy.
You're right. The slope conversation, and you're like, yeah, what is it? And then every time you guys go hunting together, you're like, all right, I'm driving.
Yeah.
It's again, hearing that story, now being able to hear from you live. I mean, it's just, yep, you get all that background, but it's a phenomenal story.
Dude, I owe that man everything. He's going to be in my wedding. He's, all 100% joking, but we joke that he's my fiance's second boyfriend just because he's like the nicest dude ever. It's one of those things. He's a once in a lifetime kind of friend. Yep. And I make sure that I keep those kind of people close.
Yep. So I guess we're going to try to keep it moving, but
yeah, let's keep it rolling.
Awesome story. A lot of people might be saying, look, cool, we got a t-shirt. Cool, we heard about a truck. What the hell is TAC? So Total Archery Challenge is what TAC stands for. I probably should pull up the website and read off what it actually says.
I was gonna say, we don't need that. All anybody needs to know, and I tell every single person that asks me this, because I get people in my industry asking me all the time because they see the truck, and I tell them, Total Archery Challenge is the single greatest collective of archers in the country. It's an event that they hand you a scorecard, and by shot 2 or 3, you've already put it in your pack because you're having too much fun with your friends. It's not at all a tournament. It's not at all a who is the best archer. It is a collective of outdoorsmen and like-minded individuals that just want to go out and shoot their bows. And that's Total Archery Challenge.
And I guess the only thing that I would add to that is they are some of the most challenging 3D shots we'll ever have to make. To add to that, you're hiking through, and again, I shoot Seven Springs. So you're hiking through mountains. And when I say that, for example, the Hoyt course that I was on Sunday morning, I don't know, it probably took my daughter and I 6-7 hours to get through it. And it was 25 targets, ranging anywhere from about 60 to 100 yards. But again, you're literally shooting around trees, you're shooting into dark things, you're shooting into very small targets at a longer range than what you typically would practice from a hunting scenario. Most of my hunting practice is from 40 yards on in. And again, these shots are, and again, you and I can tell the stories all day long, but it's, like I think it was the second to the last target on the Hoyt course was like an 86-yard shot, small brown, I call them honey bears. My daughter called them a poo bear.
Yeah, little cinnamon bears.
There you go, cinnamon bears. So, but right out of the gate, you had to shoot through this old tree that had this big Y. And then on the other side of that, about another 40 yards downrange, were 3 different trees that you had maybe a 10 or a 12-inch window to get through. And then you could ultimately get to the cinnamon bear.
Yeah.
And yes, I lost 3 arrows total on 2 of the courses, but one of my arrows hit the 3rd tree on the way to the target.
Yeah.
And
Well, I can't wait. I hope next year that I can get you on like a prime or a knock on or a Sitka, because those guys are running like 40 to 120. So us shooting prime this year, they started prime with a crisp 78-yard sheep, which is fine, right? Backed up to a giant boulder. So if you miss the sheep, your arrow is just obliterated. And so, you know, like I told you, I've talked to Rob numerous times, and he is the greatest kind of evil, because every year I shoot a course, I come down and I'm like, I know what you did. And he knows where every single target is positioned, and he strategically places it. And he just, you know, I go down and I rip him one at the end every single time. And he just kind of looks at me and he's like, but did you have fun? Yeah. And I had no response, because, you know, like I said, it's the greatest shoot anyone could ever go to. And everyone is a good person. And we, you know, in 3 years, I think we've had one issue ever with people, you know, getting angry at the pace of play, basically. Yeah.
Well, that's an important point, is, you know, it's a great group of people. And again, you saw me. I mean, I had my daughter with me. She was shooting with me. And I just said, hey, you know, if we're holding you guys up, just let us know. We'll let you pass right on through. We're kind of taking our time. And some of the hiking is a little bit treacherous. And I was like, you know, I'd rather take my time and not get hurt, or not see my daughter get hurt. So, hey, y'all just want to keep going, go for it.
And that's, you know, that's another cool thing about it is I'll be honest, I haven't shot the Loopold. Last year it was the Yeti course. I think this year it's the Black Rifle course. I haven't shot those, so I can't speak on those, but the Prime, the Sitka, the Knock On, the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, those courses, it requires a little bit of, you know, physical stability and endurance and things like that. You know, this isn't your local 3D shoot where it's 20 targets in the span of half a mile. I mean, on day one, who was it? One of our group members, she actually counted, and it was, I think we ended up hiking like 8 miles on the Sitka course. And so you're up, you're huffing and puffing, things like that. I agree with you. Most people are normally pretty cool. We had a group of 8 and we had a group of 7 on day 1 and day 2. There was many a times where we'd get groups of 2 behind us, and we're like, we would shoot. We'd say, we're not too worried about, you know, knocks and arrows. Do you guys want to shoot? We'll go get it together, and then you can move on in front of us. And most of the time, everybody was cool. We ended up chatting as we're walking up to the target and getting to know people. And, you know, you come into Total Archery Challenge with a bunch of strangers, and you leave with, at minimum, a lot of acquaintances, if not full-fledged friends.
That was the crazy part, is I had a chance to go up last year. And as we were talking, like, I was injured badly about a year and a half ago, had surgery in March last year. So wasn't cleared to walk yet for TAC in 2021. But, you know, that whole piece of, you know, I still said, well, the heck with it. I'm going to go up. I'm going to hang out at the hotel. And, you know, when I pulled into the hotel Friday night, like, the entire top porch was just full of people out BSing. And I was like, oh, this is great. These are my people, right? So, you know, there we are.
We're all just up there just lying about big buck stories.
That's right. Yeah, we're all swapping our stories and everything else. The cool thing was, here I come back, and again, I'm hitting everybody up on social media. Hey, are you guys heading up? You all staying at the same hotel again? Blah blah blah. And then you get up there, and I think it was after my Saturday morning shoot, and I'm walking back from my truck down to the range, and somebody pulls in and they stop me. Hey, Todd. And I was like, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, you look really familiar. I can't remember your name. And he's like,
Yeah.
so and so from last year. I was like, oh yeah, you know. But again, like
Yeah.
that's the type of relationships where again you have the acquaintances, you tell the big buck stories, or hey, you remember that shot on knock on that was on top of the rocks and you were like half sideways shooting into the darkness and there was a target down there somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
No, I still remember. That's what's so crazy is we all we all remember each other, even if we only remember faces, right?
right.
Annihilator Broadheads. We actually shot last year with Annihilator Broadheads.
Okay.
I ended up seeing him at ATA this year, and then I saw him again at Total Archery Challenge. We still, said, hey, we, shot the shit. And last year I didn't shoot. This year he actually convinced me to go ahead and shoot one of his broadheads. I don't know if you saw them, but they had a hood of a car.
Oh, really?
They were shooting their broadheads through to showcase the hole that it leaves.
Wow.
But yeah, stuff like that where it's like you're creating friends that you see once a year, but they're still some of the best people you'll ever meet. And then you end up fun. This is Total Archery Challenge is one of the best things for social media. You hear all the time about people complaining how bad it is and cyberbullying and it's this, that, and the other and stuff like that. But you look at events like Total Archery Challenge, social media and Total Archery Challenge are basically, holding hands together because just, for example, just this year, I linked up with AJ Iaquinta of Knights of the Apex. I linked up with Isaac Sr., Isaac Jr. from Black Rifle Coffee Company. We linked up with Forgotten Trails Outdoors. We linked up with Liberty Outdoors. We met so many awesome people, and it's as simple as swapping a phone number. Now I gave you a follow, and I get to see your success throughout the year. And so that's a whole nother reason why I love Total Archery Challenge is because of the fact that it brings our community together. And it shows, we're all one and the same. We all do this thing that we love called bow hunting, called archery. And sometimes I get chills talking about it because I told the owner and the owner's wife this year, I was like, I can't wait to see what Total Archery Challenge looks like in 5 years. It's going to be insane.
It is insane. I mean, what is it, 12 or 14 of these around the country that are going on right now? And again, I was trying to get my daughter on with me on Saturday morning, and then I was told, nope, we're already oversold by 1,000 shooters on Saturday. So if you want to come and shoot again on Saturday or Sunday morning, we can get you in at an 8 a.m. knock time Sunday morning. And I was like, well, heck, I'll shoot again. And I looked at my daughter. She's like, I'm going. So we signed up for Sunday.
Oh my goodness. See, that's the whole reason. And we're getting off topic and I know that, but that's the whole reason we as an outdoor community need this event is because of the fact that, your daughter is how old?
13.
And now I can guarantee you she is already, as soon as you guys got home, she probably already asked like, hey, when can we go back?
Well, it's funny. And then I started saying, well, you know what? I got a sight that I could throw on your bow. I got to swap out the peep and put another one in. We got to get working on the reps. I got to get your weight up a little bit, all of these things. I don't think we're getting that far off because honestly, Kaz, the next thing we're going to talk about is what is your passion? And I think for both of us, like this is hitting pretty close to home for passion.
I mean, my passion is 2 words. It's 1 sentence, 2 words: helping people. Like that's what I do. Does not matter the industry, does not matter whatever. My day job is craft beer sales. My company that I own is Jennings Java Coffee Roasters. And so I, am in the coffee industry. And then I absolutely love and adore everything outdoor related. I'm not huge into fishing. I like to say my brother loves to fish and likes to hunt. I love to hunt, like to fish, but I still respect it. I love it. I want to see people out there doing it, things like that. And I'm a big believer that, in a day and age where a lot of people are talking about mental health issues and stuff like that, I think getting outdoors and getting into the wilderness, whether it be hiking or fishing or hunting or, finding a random trail that goes through the woods in your neighborhood, something like that. I think that can be so beneficial for someone's mental clarity. And so, my passion is helping people, point blank.
Well, it's funny because you say helping people. I was waiting to figure out what that was. Like, man, he's got it down to 2 words. I got to do much better in the future. But no, it is around the helping people. And the other thing that I just found interesting is, like you said, your day job is beer sales. I knew that you owned the coffee company.
Mhm.
But it's funny, like that's the thing that's really interesting to me as well, is I think in our industry, like I never asked you, like, well, what do you do? Because like at
Well,
the end of the
because that's because we're so focused on our commonality
yeah,
passion, which is the outdoors.
yep,
Yeah, no, I'm more than a little blessed in what I do.
yep,
I actually work. I was sought out by a outdoor craft brewery, right
nice,
down to our motto. It's called Nocterra Brewing, Nocterra Brewing, out of Powell, Ohio. And our entire mantra as a company is beer plus outside equals Nocterra.
huh,
That's
nice,
it. And we make beer for someone that just got done mowing the lawn, and we make beer for the quote unquote, bougiest and high end craft beer drinkers and everything in between.
huh,
Um, I swung by the brewery and loaded up an entire case full, and I'm going to take a case up to Michigan with me so that people can try that up there. And
yeah,
it's one of those things that people that drink craft beer, it makes them feel good, and I want to help people. I want to educate people and stuff like that.
nice,
Um, Looks like we're getting cut off in about 10 minutes.
yep,
But that aspect, then in the coffee industry, everybody drinks coffee. Our motto at Jennings Java is coffee and a smile. When you come to us, when you buy from us, I can promise you and almost guarantee you will leave with a coffee and a smile. And then the outdoor industry is, we mentioned how can we work together to support and grow the sport of archery, the Fred Bear way. Well, the Bear Archery way is a bow in everyone's hand. And
yep,
I'm so glad that you and I are a part of a company that makes bows of all price points. Not everyone has $2,000 to drop on a new bow setup.
yep,
Well, that's not a problem because Bear Archery and Trophy Ridge come together and they make a ready to hunt package where for $450 I can hand you a bow,
yep,
and if you sight it in and tune it properly, you're ready to go hunt.
yep.
And
Now, again,
those
that's
aspects.
the thing that's wild is, like, even when we bumped into your cousin on the range, he had a bow, he had a mechanical issue with it, wasn't going to be able to fix it, and kind of turn around to the Bear guys and say, hey, can I have a little help? Next thing you know, he's got a new Bear Alaskan in his
He had a
hand.
full package.
And I looked at that, and you and I had a conversation. And so my day job, I work, again, this is going to shock you probably, so I'm a director of engineering for
Okay.
a major software company called Splunk.
So the only reason the engineer aspect doesn't surprise me is because my dad is a mechanical engineer, and you guys share a lot of the same qualities and stuff like that. Outgoing, good
Yeah,
persona, good personality, and stuff like that. And so that's a compliment, by the way.
absolutely, man.
My dad's a pretty awesome guy.
So the other part, and the other side of my passion, has to do with bear archery. I've been fortunate enough to be able to shoot on the Bear Archery Pro Staff shooting team for a couple of years now. And again, you talk about the people part. So whether you're working at the Great American Outdoor Show in Harrisburg, I'm working at one of the local shops, the Lancaster Archery Supply, or the Kinsey's Dealer Show, again, all these local events where I get to engage with all walks of life. Absolutely amazing. But again, that the story of your cousin, again, I was like, yeah, that's awesome. And then you kind of looked at me and you're like, yeah, I know a lot of the pro staffers were kind of like, which bow should I try to shoot this year? And Mike Shannon and I, we did a video, and it was reviewing the entire 2022 lineup. And
Yeah.
there's like 11 bows compounds that were released, and we went through each of them. And again, we're fortunate enough, we get to do all these events, we get to shoot
Right.
all the bows multiple times, but we just wanted to reach out to people and say, hey, these are our experiences. And again, everybody's got their own personal, like, this is what feels right, what doesn't feel right.
Yep.
Absolutely go shoot them all. But you're right. The Alaskan, phenomenal shooting bow. The Whitetail Legend Pro was another one that was phenomenal. I ended up going with the Refine EKO, and that bow, again, still blows my socks off every day that I
Yeah.
shoot it. But, I think as we look at, like, hey, what is it that we can do to continue to support and grow the sport of archery and hunting? I mean, it's almost not even a question. It's just in my DNA. I know it's in your DNA.
Yeah.
My local high school that my older daughter goes to, they're looking to restart the archery program at the high school. And they said, we're looking for people to volunteer. And I was like, well, sign me up.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I've got a couple older bows that are sitting in my shop here at my house, and I'm meeting people, and they're like, yeah, we want to shoot a bow. Actually, I just got my hair cut yesterday.
Yeah.
And the person who was cutting my hair, she's like, oh, I used to shoot a bow way back when, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, here's my card. Text me, call me, let me
Yeah.
know when you want to come by my house. I'm like, I got a stick bow. I got a 50-yard range in my backyard. I'll get you shooting a bow in minutes.
So let me stop you. Let me add to your point, because I've said this to a couple of people now. If anybody on your show listens but is not like big into archery,
Yep.
go to Total Archery Challenge.
Yep.
Even if you plan it as a small weekend vacation, it is the single best thing you can do to boost that archery desire and stuff like that. I've told multiple people. We actually, I came fortunately with I invited the First Form Outdoors guys, and they knew a bunch of people, and I know a couple people and stuff like that. And, I've had people reach out since then on Instagram saying, dude, I might be a city boy, but that looked like fun. I'd love to come sometime. And I'm like, listen, I think Total Archery charges $15 for a non-shooter fee.
Yep.
I'm like, if you want to come, dude, you're in for next year just to come watch it, because you and I know that benefits the helping aspect. If you come to Total Archery Challenge, you're going to end up leaving an archer. There's no doubt.
That's right. And the other part that I keep telling people is, people like you and I, like, hey, we've got somebody that has interest. If I find out that somebody lives in your backyard and they're like, hey, I want to figure out how do I get started, I'm going to ping you and say, hey, I got somebody who lives near you. This is what they're thinking, blah, blah, blah.
Dude, I'll tell them, meet me at this archery range. I'll bring out my Bear Refine, which I drop, or my Redemption, which I dropped down so that my fiance can shoot it. I'm gonna let them shoot my personal bows.
That's right.
Just so they can get a feel, you know?
That's right. So again, like you were saying, if somebody's listening, they're like, how do we get started? Again, get on the social media, ping people. Hey, I saw your picture. It looks cool. How do I get started? Go to your local shop and say, hey, are there any like local people you could refer me to? Are there any pro staffers from any manufacturers that you could refer me to? I will absolutely help anybody get started.
Anybody. And I can tell you this too. If you go up to anybody and they aren't super excited to help, that's not who you want to be talking to anyways. Go to someone who's enthusiastic about getting more people into archery, because there's a ton of us out there. It's just finding us.
Yeah. So we'll kind of wrap things up here, guys. It's been really fun. Hopefully we'll do this again soon.
We definitely will.
Maybe we'll tell some big buck stories next time.
Yeah. Oh, wait, here you go. If this is being recorded.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice. Look at this.
we can talk about ghosts next time I'm on.
There you go. Yeah, I've got a story that I've not told yet, and I've been actually trying to see if Dylan will get me on to tell it.
Yeah, keep it in your back pocket.
It's a hell of a story, and he's hanging right over there down in my office. But anyway, it's another story for another day.
That's right. That's right.
I guess as we wrap things up, I mean, any key points you want to highlight, or kind of just,
I mean, the key points that I always lean back to is my personal life mantra, which is keep moving forward. And I don't use that term lightly. Anytime I'm saying that term, it means exactly what it says. Keep moving forward. Whether it be an inch or a mile at a time, it doesn't matter if you're in the highest of highs or the darkest of places. You can always do something to move forward and better yourself, whether it be archery, whether it be a relationship, whether it be work related, family related, hobby related, whatever. There is something you can do every single day to better yourself. Wake up the next day, look back and say, you know what? I got better yesterday. And so that's my biggest thing to everybody. That's my biggest takeaway, even though we didn't touch on it too awful much, is keep moving forward.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, and you could probably see my eyes wandering here because I had to Google something, and over in my shop, I've got this sign that hangs up, and it's wild. I'll go ahead and throw up a picture of it here in the final video, but it's just got a picture of an arrow, and it
Okay.
reads, "An arrow can only be shot by pulling it backward. When life is dragging you back with difficulties, it means it's going to launch you into something great. So
Yep.
just focus and keep aiming."
Yeah.
The first time I read that, I was like, that is so real and so true. So again, maybe that's a good note to end on.
Yeah, definitely. Dude, I appreciate you having me on. I love telling my story. I'm glad you and I got to link up. I'm stoked that your daughter is hooked on Total Archery Challenge, and I hope more people get hooked on the Total Archery Challenge.
Absolutely. We'll make sure we include the links down in the description and all that other fun stuff. All of our social media. Again, hook up with us, reach out. We're here to help you.
We're here to
Literally,
help.
that is our passion. Kaz, thanks again, man.
Cheers, man. Have a good night.
See you.